Welcome everyone to our live stream scholarships Show Me the Money. I'm Reagan Anson with Education Quest, and today I'm joined by four amazing students from across the state who've earned a lot of scholarships and are going to share their stories. I'll have them introduce themselves in just a little bit, but first, some important news. We are once again giving away your choice of an insulated coffee mug or water tumbler. So just indicate your preference in the chat as we go, and we'll hold a random drawing at the end of this afternoon's presentation. Also, be sure to go ahead and post your questions, any questions you may have in the chat as we go, and we'll answer those as well. So I think we'll just get started by having you all introduce yourselves. Kylie, let's start with you. Tell us about you. Where are you from? Where you're going to school, major, minor, and any activities you're involved in.
Hi everyone. I'm Kylie John. I'm from Kearney, Nebraska, and I currently go to UNL in Lincoln, and I'm an architecture major. I am involved with the club tennis team here, and I'm in Greek life, and I also work part-time on campus.
So you have a lot of free time, it sounds like. I mean, yeah, it's a busy lady. So
Yeah.
that's great. We're so glad you're here. John, over to you next. Tell us about you.
Hi guys, I'm John. I'm from St. Laborie, Nebraska. I go to the University of Nebraska Kearney. I'm a biology major going down the pre-med track, and I'm involved with Greek life, involved in the local church here, and the Health Sciences Club.
That's great. Fellow Loper, not to play favorites, John, but I mean, my alma mater. So we're so glad you're here. And Delany, tell us about you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Delany Ham, and I'm from Holdridge, Nebraska. And I'm currently going to school at UNO in Omaha, where I'm studying social work, and then I'm minoring in criminal justice. And then on campus, I'm in the honors program, and then I'm center, and then I'm also an RA at my dorm.
So you have a lot of free time. You guys all have so much free time.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with yourselves, just Netflix and yeah, good for you. No, we're so glad to have you guys here. You guys are just outstanding students, and we're excited to talk to you about your experience applying for scholarships and how you went about it. So let's go ahead and get into some of those questions. And I think Kylie, we'll just start with you. So when you were in high school, what motivated you to apply for scholarships, and how did you go about looking for them? And who did you go to for advice?
When I was in high school, I knew I wanted to be an architect, which would require me to go to 6 years of school and require me to go to university. And so I knew how expensive that would be. And so I started looking for scholarships super early. I just looked online and through Education Quest, because to preface this now, my mom works for Education Quest. So she's really pushed me a lot to look for scholarships and find different ways to gain money for college.
Absolutely. You had an inside track. How quickly did you start looking? Did you wait till you were a senior? Did you start earlier than that?
I mostly waited till I was a senior for a lot of them, but I knew I was really going for a Regent scholarship, which is full tuition. And so I knew I needed to focus on my grades and doing stuff for my resume super early, starting freshman year, even earlier. So.
Oh yeah, great advice. Anyone watching, so you keep those grades up from as soon as possible. Yeah, because it matters. It really matters. John, I'd like to ask you the same questions. So what was your motivation for applying for so many scholarships? Where did you look, and who helped you?
My biggest motivation is that I'm trying to go to med school, and that's pretty expensive. So as much money I can get and use it up now, and then later I can get less loans. But my high school counselor was very good at pushing all the local scholarships and even recommending university scholarships for incoming freshmen. And I started probably at the end of August, my senior year, writing up an essay and personal statement.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. Those school counselors can make such a difference as well. So that's wonderful. Delany, I want to ask you the same thing. Tell us how did you go about all this? What motivated you? Who helped you?
So I was actually pretty self-motivated with the whole scholarship thing. I knew that I wanted to major in social work. And since that's in the service field, I won't be making a whole lot in the future. So applying for scholarships meant that whatever scholarships I did get, that's money I could save from not having to work. And I could volunteer more and do that sort of thing in college with my major. But I went to my guidance counselor a lot for scholarships through the guidance office and would ask her a lot of questions. And I would say I waited till my senior year to really start looking at scholarships, but kind of the same as Kylie, working really hard for that Regent scholarship throughout high school.
Great. And you guys both mentioned Regent scholarships. Are those scholarships that you ended up receiving?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, good for you. That's a big deal. That's awesome. Good for you. So we'll go back to Kylie. Do you remember how many scholarship applications did you actually complete, and how many did you end up getting? And it doesn't have to be an exact amount, but like maybe a percentage of, like if you applied for 100 and you got like 50% of them, just give us an idea of what that was like.
I believe if I remember correctly, I applied for like around 20 scholarships and I received around like 5 of them, a lot of them within my school and like community. So like the smaller area with people who knew me and grew up, like watched me grow up and stuff. So
Sure, that's great. So with the Regent scholarship, you'll have to remind me, is that full tuition? Is that correct?
yes,
For
full
4
tuition,
years?
yeah.
That's amazing. And then, so are you just left to really cover housing and food out of pocket, or were you able to get scholarships that help with that?
Yeah, so the rest of the scholarships I received go with my major. I have to like buy a lot of extra supplies. It's not really books and stuff, but I used a lot of my scholarship money towards that and a little bit towards housing. So.
Great. John, let's go over to you. Tell us a little bit about how many scholarships you ended up applying for and what you ended up getting and what they kind of cover.
I ended up filling out around like 10 to 15 scholarships. Most of them were local, but a few through the university. And I ended up getting 7 local scholarships and 2 through the university.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. So were those mostly tuition and anything that helps with housing and food?
So the 2 through the university, one was the Regent Scholarship, so my tuition was paid for. And the other one
Wow.
specifically for housing, like room and board. So I got a little extra money for that.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we have 3 Regent scholars then. I didn't realize that's wow, a bunch of smart kids. Delany, same question. Tell us about what your application process was like.
So I applied for between 35 and 40 scholarships. I did everything from the national ones to the local ones, and then I received around 15 to 20 of them. I think I calculated it earlier. I looked back at my list and it was like 40%. So I was actually able to, so far I'm going to college 100% covered by scholarship. So
That is incredible. That's
thank
amazing,
you.
guys. Yeah, what a commitment to fill out that much stuff, right? I know I've interviewed some students before about their experience with scholarship, and a lot of them say, we treated it like a part-time job, and it kind of really is. You have to invest some time, but it can really pay for itself, right? So Delany, let's start with you on this one. How was it a factor? Were the scholarships that you were awarded a real factor in deciding what college you would attend, or did you always know you wanted to go to UNO?
Yeah, so this was a little bit of a journey for me. The scholarships were definitely a part of it, but they ended up not being the complete decision. So I had gotten an offer from another university for a full ride, which if you don't know what a full ride is, it includes tuition and housing and books and fees and everything. And then at UNO, I was offered the Regents, which is just tuition. And then I also was looking at a private, which would have offered me half tuition. So I ended up going middle of the road, and I chose to come to UNO because it wasn't the best scholarship offer up front, but I knew that it would set me up better for my career and have different opportunities. But I was kind of able to, with outside scholarships that I applied for, kind of make it similar to the first offer.
There's a lot that goes into that decision process, right? When you're picking a school. John, can you talk to us a little bit about your decision process? Why UNK? What made you settle there?
So UNK, I won't lie, wasn't my first pick, but with the amount of financial aid that they were giving me and with these other like scholarship that I have, it allows me to get into med school. Like it helps build your resume. And I thought that was way more valuable than anything else. So I decided to go with Kearney because I think it'll set me up for success.
Yeah, that's great. Kylie, how did you pick? You mentioned that architecture, is UNL the only school that offered that in the state?
Yes, for in-state, UNL is the only place that offers architecture, and there aren't very many schools like surrounding us. that offer architecture too. So I visited K-State, KU. I really liked KU and their program as well. But yeah, I was offered the Regents here, and I was like, free school, free credit hours. I can deal with Lincoln.
Yes.
So I really love it here so far.
I think you guys are all very smart. So, yeah, if you can get something paid for, that's where you go, 100%. So, Kylie, this next question, I'll start with you. Is there sort of a typical scholarship application? Does such a thing exist? And can you talk a little bit about what students who are in high school right now should expect as they start this process?
Yeah, so most of the scholarships I applied for just required like a lot of like, who are you? Where did you go to school? Where did you grow up? What do you intend on majoring in? And then most of them had like a short essay, but they were all relatively around the same question, just about like, what did you do in high school? How it impacted you? And so a lot of the scholarships, like I could pick parts from the same essays and use it for multiple scholarships at once. So that was super nice. And none of them were that crazy. They were like 500 words max. So pretty easy.
That's awesome. So yeah, do the work up front and then you can reuse. No sense reinventing the
Yes.
wheel, right? That's great. And essays, I think, are probably a big component of most scholarships. Now, John and Delany, you mentioned that you guys had to do also some like in-person interviews. John, let's start with you. Can you talk to us about what that was like or what that experience was like, and how did you really try to stand out from the crowd in that process?
It was nerve-wracking. I was terrified, but the best way you can stand out is just to smile and be yourself. Try and build a little bit of a relationship with your interviewers and be confident. You're trying to sell yourself, show who you really are in such a short time span. So just be confident with yourself and always smile.
Always, always good advice. Put a smile on your face. Delany, what was your interview experience like?
I'm going to agree with John on a lot of that.
Mhm.
Definitely intimidating because, when you're asked interview questions, you're not really given a lot of preparation. So you kind of have to think on the spot. But I would say for advice to not let that intimidate you, because you can always ask for a little bit of time to think about a response. And then, like John said, just really be yourself, because at the end of the day, like the interview panel doesn't want to see 20 applicants that have the same responses that you think that they want to hear. They just want to hear who you are.
Absolutely. And I think what maybe students lose sight of is that panel of people, they want you to do well. They really do. I think they're rooting for every kid that comes before them, just like, do great, it makes their decision easier. So good advice. And speaking of advice, I want to kind of move back to Kylie, and I'm going to ask you all this question, but I want to know any inside tips what are your best tips for completing these applications? What advice would you give, if, or would you wish you maybe would have gotten when you were in high school, or that you would give a high school student now who's looking for help paying for college?
Yeah, my best advice on this is like when you're writing essays, try to make them super personal, because I know for me, like I was on student council, and probably a lot of people who are like applying for scholarships would also be on student council, but I talked a lot about like the specific things I would do through that or through other clubs I was in that like interacted with my community, and like certain things that were really impactful to me, and like certain events we would do, because I think that makes it a lot more personal to the people who are reading the essay.
Yeah, that's great. John, how about you? What's some advice you would give to high school students?
I'm going to echo the same thing. Just really make it personal to you. Make yourself stand out. What's your motivation? Like, why did you want to do this? And the other thing is, I think get a spreadsheet and list out all the scholarships that you're eligible for, and then day by day, just do one or two. Just keep going. Don't do all at once. You'll get burnt out. Just do a few at a time.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Delany, off to you. What do you think? What's some good tips that you have?
Yeah, I'll echo exactly what they said. And then also, I think starting early is a really big thing, because that really gives you time to think about the essay prompts if it does require an essay. And then obviously having somebody proofread for grammar is really important, but I would also always have my mom or a close like friend or teacher read it for me to tell me if it sounded like myself. So if the interview panel was going to hear from me, or if it was a more general response or something that I was maybe targeting towards what the prompt was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. Practice Yeah, practicing with other people can make all the
Mhm.
difference. So that's great. So thank you guys for sharing your experiences. I think it's super helpful as high school students right now try to navigate that scholarship world, which can be kind of confusing, and how to best go about paying for college. But we try to say, get as much free money as you can. So before we take some questions from our audience, I just want to remind everyone of one great resource that's available to all Nebraskans for free, and that is Scholarship Quest. And it's on the educationquest.org website. It's a database of over 2,000 Nebraska-based scholarships that you can search the criteria and see what type of awards you may be eligible to apply for. So it's a fantastic resource. And like I said, it's free. So check it out. Tell your friends. We're going to put it in the comments, link to it in the comments right now. And with that, I think we'll take a couple of audience questions if you guys can stick with me for a few more minutes. Okay, here's a question. What would you do differently when applying for scholarships if you had a do-over? Anybody want to take that one?
Ooh.
You guys all nailed it, so it's hard to be like, oh, I need a do-over.
I think one thing I would do is I would definitely start earlier, and I did the same thing with like spreadsheets and stuff. But yeah, I think I would just start earlier, start looking earlier, because I know it came to like February, March, and a lot of them were due in April, and especially like the ones around Kearney were due in April. And so starting earlier instead of like cramming it all in March.
Always good advice.
Yeah.
Don't procrastinate, right? I'm the queen of procrastination, so I can appreciate that. Another question we have, and I know you guys got some Regent Scholarship is a big award, right? So one of the questions that came in is it worth the time to apply for small awards? Now, I assume some of you got some smaller awards. What would you say to that?
I would say it definitely is. Even if you spend, let's say it's $200 and you spend 2 hours on it, you just made $100 an hour if you receive that scholarship. So I would honestly say apply for anything and everything that you can, because you never know.
Absolutely. John, you were going to maybe say something as well.
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. If you get 5 $200 scholarships, that's still $1,000 that you can have. It's the little things go a long way. Just do your best.
Yeah, for sure. I think anything you're eligible for. Yeah, that's a really great way to look at, like, if this is your part-time job and you can make $100 an hour for an hour's worth of work, you're making money. So I love that. So I don't want to keep our students are so busy, and we're so grateful that you guys have been here. So I don't want to keep you all evening. So if we didn't get to your question this afternoon, I'm losing track of time here, go ahead and reach out to any of our offices for free help. You can find all of our contact information at educationquest.org. We're also on all the social networks, so Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube. Stay up to date on all the latest about the FAFSA, which everyone's favorite topic, and also college planning. And you can sign up for Countdown to College to get a brief weekly email to keep you in the loop. You can sign up for that at the bottom of our homepage, and we're going to share the homepage link right now. So those are just great ways to stay on track, be aware of deadlines, and all those sorts of things. And now for the fun stuff, we drew some winners here for our prizes, and they are Grace Wolf and Jackie Klein. So congratulations, friends. Go ahead and send us a DM with your contact information, and we'll get your prizes in the mail to you as soon as possible. And we will see our audience back here on Wednesday, March 20th at 4 p.m. for our next live stream. So you want to be a college athlete. And we're really excited because we'll be talking with Husker football kicker Tristan Alvano. So don't miss it, and we'll see you guys